your second time in our call. So for those who didn't watch the first one, could you just give us your background to tell a little bit about you, how you started in real estate, how you got into EXP, and then how you reached Icon?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. So I've been in real estate since 2015, and I originally started on a team at Remax. And after a few years, we moved the team to Keller Williams. And I did like being on a team at the beginning. I think I learned a ton. It was, a great experience. But after a while, I just felt that it was time for me to branch off and go out on my own. So I had a mutual business partner that had recommended I talk to Cody Brown, who is my sponsor. And I decided to come over to EXP and join her in her organization as an individual agent last June. So I've been here for just over a year. And one of the main reasons why I chose EXP was because of the ability to icon and get that cap money back. Just seemed super exciting to me. Whether I ever reached that goal or not, at least it was an option. So right after I moved over, unfortunately, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and passed away. So I took about almost 3 months off of work, unfortunately, but I got back on track in August and started moving forward with my business. And I had hit my cap, I think, the beginning of November. So I was kind of behind the 8 ball, I felt, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to reach icon, even though that was a big goal for me. So it did take me the entire year until the end of June. So I kind of felt like I got it by the skin of my teeth, literally. But I did have some crazy things fall apart that should never have fallen apart, that just kind of made it a little bit more challenging. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, even in a difficult year, you made it. So excited to see what you're going to do in the next one.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. It was challenging, and having those few months off that set me back made it even more difficult. And then of course the year was crazy for real estate for all of us. So my cap started over July 1st, and I should hit my cap this month of August. So I'm super excited, which
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my goal, of course, again, this year is I do want to reach icon. Again, yesterday I did receive the initial grant money back.
I was going to ask you that because I saw that you were officially announced on this last announcement that was made, I think, in the beginning of the week or like the end of last week. So I was going to ask if you have seen your cap yet.
Yes, I did get that. I actually didn't see the announcement. I probably missed what you're referring to if it came out in like.
I can tag you there. I'll tag you in the post.
But I also want to thank you and Gogo for the icon tumbler that I did receive that. So that was cool. But yeah, I did have the call. I think it was last week, the initial call with, whoever I got assigned to do like my interview. So I got through that portion of it, and yeah, it was exciting just to see the grant money come through.
That's awesome. So I know it's been a short period since you reached the status of icon, but how have things been doing? You already mentioned that you want to reach the icon status again. So is your goal to keep focusing on production? Do you want to start building a team? What do you have in mind right now? I know it's very recent, but.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, of course, everybody's goal is to just get your cap paid back off right away. So like I said, that should be this month, which will be super exciting to have that done, and, within less than the 2 months. And yes, I do. My goal is to reach icon. I've talked to quite a few agents here and there. And I'm starting to, post more about icon and what it means. But I'm going to be honest, I haven't had it on my radar a ton for agent attraction. So that's like the next piece of the puzzle that I really do want to focus on. I feel that I built a lot of momentum as far as, working with clients and listings. And, it's been great because it's kind of snowballed a little bit, which is one thing I really realized the advantage of being an individual agent. just having a couple of listings and how that can snowball into more sign calls and referrals and things like that, that of course were happening before when I was on a team, but those calls were not coming to me. So that's been honestly super exciting. And it just, makes me realize that I made the right choice as far as, branching out and going on my own. We all work so hard. It's truly, we deserve to have our name out there and to be getting those phone calls.
That's great. So you already mentioned that, having referrals and having clients reaching back to you. So let's get into that. How do you build the relationships with your client? Tell us your secrets. And guys, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions after Lynne answers this one, because Lynne's here to share all her knowledge.
Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but I kind of feel like the biggest thing for me, and I talked about this on the last call, is trying to get to a place in your business where you don't look at a client as a transaction. And for all of us, when we get started in our business, we need those transactions, we need those paychecks, right? So it's a natural gravitation towards looking at each client and thinking, as soon as I close, I get my commission check, because we all need to get paid for all the work that we're doing. But I think at some point in our business, and I think a lot of it stems from your mindset and how you truly look at your clients, and you don't look at them as a transaction or a paycheck, I think something just changes and shifts, that it just it comes more naturally, because you're not focused on that paycheck, even though we all need it, right? So, of course, every client that I start working with doesn't mean you're going to hit it off with all of them, but I try to keep everything as even as I can, relative to just building an actual relationship and getting to know them from the very, first time I meet them or talk to them and know what their goals are. And then, as far as like throughout the process, I try to be super good about communication, obviously through the sale or through the whole transaction, but after the fact, as far as connecting with them on social media, because I feel our clients, as we're going through the transaction and maybe after closing, the more that they can see you, that you're a real person, and they think that they're friends, or you feel like you have that relationship that's not just a business relationship, right? I think they can relate to you more and they trust you more because they can see you as a real person. So I'm not saying like every single client I end up being friends with on social media, because of course some of them aren't, but I think it does help a ton with referrals, because you're more in front of them after the transaction is closed and they can see you, and it seems like you're connected, even though you're not picking up the phone and calling them, every month or every 2 months to check in. It's just a natural, I don't know, just more of a natural situation. So the other thing I really try to do is, if I do get a referral from any of my past clients or sphere of influence, I try to send a card, thank you card or Starbucks card. This year I have done quite a few different Canva text posts, which have gotten a lot of traction. I haven't done like full Facebook posts, but the Starbucks gift card for Mother's Day or Easter, things like that, or as a thank you for a referral. I just do the QR code for a Starbucks, gift card or whatever. And it doesn't have to be a ton. I mean, like, people just like to, know that you're thinking of them and you're grateful for the referral, or review, if they give you a review on Google or anything like that. I recently had a client that actually has not closed a transaction with me, but I've shopped with quite a bit, that had a baby. So I try to just stick something in the mail, just a little outfit and a card, because then I feel like, I just feel like you kind of get put in the front of their mind, like, oh, that was nice, you didn't have to do that. And it's another way to kind of like keep the connection, strong.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a way to show them that you care. Just like you said, it's not just another transaction. You are building a relationship, and it's not about the actual gift, because like you said, it doesn't have to be a ginormous thing. It's just about showing appreciation, you know, and taking the time to make something personal, because people love personalized stuff when it has their name, or when especially made for that family. So that is great. Ladies, it's all ladies today. Do you have any question, or can I go on with the questions? I cannot see you, so if you have any questions, unmute yourself and ask. Okay, let's keep going. So Lynn, you mentioned referrals. So do you track, like, you know, how many deals that you closed that came from referrals, and did you build this environment, I think you could say, based on past clients, or like in your community, or do you go to Facebook groups? So how do you work with referrals?
So last year I don't have exact numbers, but I had tracked last year, and it was about 85% of my transactions for 2020 came from past clients or referrals. So some of them, you know, past clients, the majority of them, to be honest with you, because I came from a team and that team offered Zillow leads. I was very good at converting those Zillow leads and holding on to those relationships, where I think that was where I had an advantage on my team, because my team lead did not build a relationship with any past leads in order to keep repeat clients and referrals. So a lot of the 85% that I closed last year, some of them were originally a Zillow lead, or a Zillow lead that referred me to somebody, or had rebought and move up. I have a lot of move up buyers because I've been in real estate for a few years. So people that bought first time homes from me a few years ago are now upgrading. So, you know, I think that that is a big part of, you know, building and keeping those relationships, because it's not just the referrals that you get, but it's the fact that if they remember you, they remember your name because you're in front of them enough, they're going to come back to you when they want to sell their house and move into a bigger place. So this year, well, I think it would have been this year, at the beginning of the year, I did get, I think, 2 transactions that I've closed through KV Core that came from posting links through Facebook. So that was super exciting. I mean, I am doing right now, I started doing Facebook ads through KV Core. I have not had that much success besides those 2 transactions, but it's still 2 transactions. I think it's a little bit different type of leads that you get with Facebook ads. You know, I don't know if I'm super impressed, but they're more nurture leads, you know? So it's just about getting in front of the person and making that connection. You're not going to make that connection with everybody, you know?
Yeah, of course. And so I was going to ask you, you already had your relationship, your referrals, and your past clients. This relationship was well built. You had that game very strong. And how did EXP help you on that sense? You know, all the tools that we have, you just mentioned KV Core is something that you were exploring, or are you just, because do you want to have more leads and reach out to more people, or are you more focusing on nurturing those relations that you already have?
So one of the big reasons that I moved over to EXP, besides Cody and her organization, was KV Core and Gogo's Bootcamp, right? I was very successful with the leads that I have gotten from the team that I was on. I still do leads, but what I want to learn more is building my business through social media. So that was kind of the pull for me, you know, to be part of this organization, because of the social media, the KV Core, all that training, because I just feel that's where things are going, you know, just trying to do more on Instagram and things like that. So I don't know if I love the Facebook ads, you know, but that's the only thing. I mean, but I'm not good at it yet, right? So with everything that we try, it's just about being consistent with it, you know. But I think the majority of my business is just still keeping those relationships from past clients, because, you know, even if it's just a card in the mail, you know, that you're thinking of them or whatever the case is. I mean, if I pull how many transactions that I got just from keeping in touch with those people, you know, and referrals, and, you know, that makes a huge difference. But you still have to keep adding to your base, right, with new clients. So
Yes, for sure. And it's a process, just like you mentioned. It's not like you're gonna go record in one day and figure everything out. I mean, you have to
and that's a
test and see what
challenge.
works for you.
I definitely will admit, Cody's husband, Ty, I have him help me a lot with KV Core because I will focus on it for a minute and then I get so busy with transactions and writing offers, and then it seems like it's a week and I haven't even opened it. You know, so I'm absolutely guilty of not being good with opening that every day and following up. So that also could stem to the result that I'm not necessarily getting results from some of those ads, you know.
Yeah, well, but just like I said, it's just so much going on, and you have those transactions, and you have to have the clients. So sometimes you're just going to put stuff aside, and just like we always say, on EXP you have so much more tools than you can handle. I mean, it has information from coming from every place. You have Team Gogo, and then you have the upline, and then you have all the EXP University tools. So it's a lot going on. And so, Lynn, I wanted to ask you, did you, I'm sorry, I don't remember from the last call. So on this previous year, did you track all of your numbers and all of your, were you following like when you're going to reach the status of icon? And how are you doing for the next year? Because you said that you're doing very well. Your first month, you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I did pull them last time and for my call. So last year I had done just about 6.5 million, which was the most volume I had done in all the years I've been in real estate. And I believe that it ended up taking me, in order to icon, because of some shared transactions, which was a little tricky to figure out for a while, but I think it ended up taking me 23 transactions after I capped. So I was, like I said, a little bit panicked. I did have quite a few unusual transactions in order to cap. So I ended up doing a commercial lease, which I had never done. And then I did have some other lease contracts, landlord tenant situations. The one thing moving forward for this year, I've learned, like, you have to be very careful with those shared transactions if they're within EXP. They don't necessarily count for a full or half of a transaction. The other thing that I did kind of pull away from last year was if your commission is, I believe, under 1,000 or 1,200, it also changes that number. So because I was so close down to the wire, I was tracking it after every closing to see where I was at to meet that $5,000, because it's 20 transactions or $5,000 in the cap fee or the broker fee. And I didn't think that I had already reached icon. I thought that I had like one or two more transactions that were needed. And I had called to ask a question, and there was actually a mistake on one of the reports. So I was tracking it every single closing, but there was a mistake on one of the reports. So I actually had already iconed and I didn't know it, which was a great surprise because I was kind of panicked. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, tracking it was super important. Now I know there's a lot of agents that don't ever look at it, but for me, it was such a huge goal, and I was trying so hard, and losing those 3 months at the beginning, I just it made it just so close to the wire that I was just constantly tracking it because I didn't want to miss it by like one deal or $20. Which is where it was ending up, that I was gonna literally, I thought like I only needed $27 or something because of those lease agreements or shared transactions. My numbers were off.
Yeah, so that's something that I want to ask. That's actually a question that Kat Plus made on the Facebook streaming. If you could explain that part of the referral. So Kat is asking, if I refer an agent, does a part of that transaction count towards icon? So how does it work?
So until you cap, it counts differently after you cap towards icon. So if I have a transaction where Cody and I worked on them together, obviously both EXP, it's a 50-50 split. It wasn't necessarily half of a transaction or a quarter of a transaction, where it would be if it was a referral back or forth out of our brokerage to like KW or something like that. It went by the dollar amount. It was calculated differently, which is how I ended up with such unusual fees that were taken out. You know, instead of that $250 fee for a full transaction being 50% at $125, it kind of calculated based on the volume. It was just calculated differently. So there was only like $50 or $55 taken out. So it was always an uneven number. So that would be the one thing I would kind of caution everybody on. And I know that we had discussed this a couple times, and I discussed it with Gogo, that it can be a little bit tricky when you're down to the wire so close. I feel very fortunate with the momentum that I have going right now. I believe I have 8 closings this month. So like I said, I will hit my cap this month of August, and then I will have a good chunk going towards those 20 transactions that I'll need. And then I have until June 31st next year to icon.
Got it. So just make sure that we have it clear. I'm the spokesperson for Kat here. So she said, I'm referring to another EXP agent. So the portion of fee is counted, but not the transaction as one of the 20 after capping. Is that it?
It does count, but it's not like it's not always like an even 50% or 125 transaction. It depends on the price of the house, the price of your commission check, obviously based on the split that you're getting from the other agent.
Got it. So you got to do your math. You cannot just assume it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, but if you watch this, so the other thing I would want to mention, so when you're in your back office, there's 2 reports, and I was only looking at one report. There's a transaction report, and then there's also a cap report or something like that. I was only looking at one. I was looking at the cap one to watch that if I was close to that $5,000, because that's what you need in order to icon, the $5,000 paid back in. And that's what I just kept focusing on, but there was a transaction missing from that report. So when I had called in inquiring about just a separate question, the person through workplace chat that I had talked to said the transaction report was correct. There was one that was missing off of the cap report, which bumped me over. And the reason for my call on that particular day was I had, I think it was a transaction that I felt that I should be getting that full $250 taken out of my check. That should have given me a full transaction. And for whatever reason, there was only like $57 taken out. And I'm like, what in the world could be happening? So, but it was because I had actually already iconed and I didn't know it. And then they change your fee once you icon. So it can be tricky, but I mean, I was very impressed with workplace chat. They caught that mistake right away. And she goes, oh my gosh, you already iconed. And that's why it was kind of messed up. And we caught it. It's right here. We'll fix it by the end of the day. There was also another situation where they reached out to me because something was incorrect on a check from like 2 months before. And I didn't catch it, but they had caught one of my fees there was like a double fee somewhere. They've been very good about the stuff that you would think that could get, slip through the cracks.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I totally trust EXP and I know that they're always paying attention, but that just shows how important it is for us to know how to use all the tools and the platforms that we have, because I didn't know about those 2 reports, for example, and I'm sure there are other people that don't know about it. So that's very, very good to know.
I think like for all of us, if this is a goal, I mean, for me, this was a huge goal. I didn't, it was on my radar. At first, I didn't know if I was going to make it, right? And then as it got down to the wire, I just was kind of panicked, but there's so many tools there. And like I said, the workplace chat, they've been so great when I reach out. But if you don't ask and you don't look, then you might think that you're further away than you actually are, So for me, it made a big difference.
Of course. So since you got into the topic that, the challenges that you had along the way, I wanted to know, like, what were the things that you have learned during the past year, building your way into Icon, that you're doing different this year, or that that you can do easier, faster? So what were your biggest lessons?
Well, I think, you know, there's so much to learn when you move to a different brokerage. And obviously with EXP, you know, there's so much. And I was a seasoned agent, so it wasn't like I had to learn the whole job and everything about EXP. But I think just trying to focus on small chunks, you know, and navigate what you really feel is going to be important for your business and not try to learn everything, I think is huge. The other thing so one of the other reasons when I moved over and joined Cody and Impact Agents and her organization, what I loved about EXP was the fact that we get to keep more of our money, right? Your fees are less. You have the option to Icon to get our CAT money back, which for us at Impact Agents, we donate back to a local charity at closing. So that has been a big piece of my story and what I like to share with my clients from the get-go. And I explain what, you know, Impact Agents or Realtor for a Cause is and how it affects them, because they get to choose an organization out of the charities that I partner with. And it's a check that goes in honor of them choosing me as their agent. And I think it's just a nice way for me to kind of explain my story and where I have landed with this change. Many of the clients that I have currently that I'm working with right now or closed this last year were clients that I've had for years, right? So they've seen me move from brokerage to brokerage or leave the team I was on to now be an individual agent. But I think it's all about creating our story and making us different, right? Making your client want to choose you because they like whatever your niche is, right? It's all about building your brand and how you want to market yourself. So for me, this was just, it was a great piece of my story and why I moved over to EXP and, you know, left the traditional brokerage. And I think that my clients can relate to that. When I first moved over, like I said, after my mom passed away, it was kind of it was just such a weird ending to the story, because it was the first listing that I had with my actual name on the sign was on their house. And then it was the first charity check that I donated back to after being at EXP was to hospice that helped her. So, you know, it was a good story to explain to my clients why I made this move, because unfortunately not all of our clients understand EXP and the virtual brokerage, and it's non-traditional. So I think that can help them understand what the reason was.
Yeah, of course. And I want to ask you, so you're always mentioned Cody, and Cody always says nice things about you. So I'd like to ask you the importance of having this kind of support, because sometimes you're like, no, I'm going to do this on my own. I don't want to bother my sponsor. I don't want to keep asking questions. But we know how important it is to have someone that's there to help you, make the best move and help you understand what's going on and see the bigger picture. So I'd like you to share a little about this relationship and the importance it had for you to reaching your goals.
Yeah. So, well, when I moved over, like I said, I joined their organization because it just truly spoke to me and what is important to me about giving back and being part of the community. I moved over as an individual agent, and that's what I love about EXP, right? You have to pick your sponsor. And I've talked to other agents and I tell everybody, like, that is the biggest decision that you should make, is choosing the sponsor or the organization that is going to be in line with what your goals are. Like I said, my goal was to learn social media, right? This is an area that I wanted to start building my business that I needed help in, right? So where am I going to get that training, which led me, you know, through Gogo and the boot camp that she offers. The organization that Cody has truly was a perfect fit for me, what's important to me. So I'm an individual agent, but we work great together. We've done transactions together, so we can pull from each other relative to strengths. Cody does a ton. She's got more experience with the social media marketing relative to high-end listings. So we just did a transaction together, which was my lead, but I really wanted to pull her expertise and knowledge, you know, to try to market this house using social media. So we did that deal together. I think it's a great situation. So if either of us are out of town or has a family issue, or we have an overflow of clients and we can't get somebody in a house, I think it's super important, not necessarily being on a team, but having somebody that you're partnered with that you can, rely on them or ask for help or bounce an idea off of, especially with this market right now. Being able to talk to another agent that sees tons of offers come through on their listings, you get ideas on maybe what's going to make your next offer stand out. So I think that's super important. And I know once you have your sponsor, sometimes you're like, well, my sponsor maybe is not doing those things. But I think within Team Gogo and all of the training and information we have, even just partnering with somebody on a buddy system to build a relationship that's going to benefit you is super important.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you because I can see that it benefits both sides. If you're building your team, what kind of support that you have to offer and what kind of conversations you can have. And then if you are the new agent who needed support, who wants to learn from another person, you just gotta get there and ask. And just like you said, if not from your sponsor, because he or she's not local to you, just find somebody. I mean, we'll have 500 people on Team Gogo. Someone will be available to help you for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's just about making that connection and finding somebody that you can relate to. And, obviously you want somebody that's going to, encourage you to do better, right? That you can learn from. You don't necessarily want somebody that, you have to be able to, it's got to work for both sides, right? But I think finding somebody that has different strengths and then you can learn things together. And I know that she has a lot more knowledge with the social media end of things. And, that's where I need to grow my business. So.
Yeah, and you've been doing great, by the way.
I'm trying. It's always, everything's a lot to learn, right? Along with keeping everything kind of rolling forward with the other things that we're juggling as agents.
Of course. So we're a little over the hour, ladies, here on Zoom, and the ones who are watching on Facebook. Do we have any final questions, guys? Anything that you want to ask? Anything that you want to know? Are we all good? Okay, since everyone's muted, I'm assuming we're all good and we have everything figured out. So Lynne, once again, I just wanted to thank you. This was great, to hear from you, to get your perspective, and to know that you did it once and you're going to do it twice, and of course many more times, because I can see that you have this desire to keep pursuing this goal. The ladies are thanking you on the chat box, Amy and Care. So yeah, any final words, any final piece of advice that you want to share with us?
I just think that it's if it's on your radar to do it, I just think you just need to take it one step at a time and know that you can get there. I think it's just something that no other brokerage offers. So what a great opportunity, and just, have it on your list, have it as a goal. If you don't have it as a goal, you're definitely not going to do it, right? They say if you write it down. So, but I really appreciate you having me on the call and sharing my little bit of how it worked for me. But I'm super excited to kind of be on a roll and moving forward to getting it for this year.
Thank you. And what is the best way for people to reach out to you
probably through Facebook. I'm in the Team Gogo Facebook group, or on Messenger. Yeah.
Awesome, perfect. So thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Wish you guys a very good week. Let's make it happen, and I'll see you in the next trainings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.